Hi everyone and welcome to my very first video for the Steam Next Fest of June 2022. Each video takes on a genre of games and I'll run through the demos that I've played and what I thought of them and whether they've stayed on my wish list. This one's all about rhythm and music games, so let's dive in. First up is Melatonin. Now I've already done a video separate to give some more detail around this because this demo really struck a chord with me, but it's a game that evokes the Rhythm Paradise and Rhythm Heaven games that are on the Nintendo 3DS and Wii. The idea of this is that you're going into a night's sleep and wandering through rhythmic dreams. They start off as mini games that are 2 buttons usually, like a kick drum and a snare. You watch and hear the rhythm and then it's like a call action repeat. Very similar to African style music, to be fair. So this plays out through various different mini games, and then at the end all of the dream sequences that you played before merge together into a hyperactive song for you to kind of bounce between all the different rhythms between it. It plays like a dream, it looks and sounds fantastic. There's also different difficulties as well, with a remix mode for each level that you play afterwards, switching things up. I adore this, it's staying on my wish list and this is a day one buy for me. Second game on this list is called Twin Edge, and it took me totally by surprise that I'd never heard of it before. It does something quite unique with rhythm action games as well, which I always appreciate when a rhythm game does something new. You've got 2 circles on your screen, one for your left hand, one for your right hand, and beats will go round throughout the different tracks that you've got, and on the keyboard you've got D and F for your left circle, J and K for your right, and so you can kind of diddle with 2 fingers on each, or just kind of use the one and bounce back and forth, and that's quite nice for beginning with because it gets you used to an interesting and new way of playing. And then it throws in all of its tricks, and the demo's quite big so you get to play with it. And the best way I could describe this is rubbing your head and patting your tummy, because it will start doing things like one will go anti-clockwise, one will go clockwise, and then it will switch back and forth, and you're like speed will change, colours will change on things, and it will keep you guessing as to what it's going to do, and each song kind of has its own unique spin and playful like trick to throw at you. Really engaging. Loved this to bits, and this will be a day one pickup for me as well. Twin Edge on Steam. The third game in this list is called Dancing Cube, and the best way I can describe this is if you've played Just Shapes and Beats, this is that game again, but in a 3D space as opposed to a 2D plane. In Dancing Cube you have music playing and you choose your character. 1 to 4 of you can play at once, and generally it's co-op unless you're being mean-spirited. And the idea is that as the music plays, a light show will either display on the ground, or quite uniquely for Dancing Cube, it starts displaying on the walls around you and coming down towards you. And the idea is that you want to avoid anything that is pink and stay off that, because it's about to turn red on the next kind of kick drums or beats. Usually you'll get like a 4-beat notice before it does it, and in Dancing Cube it will pop up on the screen and it will kind of hit you with like a snare drum. Plays really well, interesting music. Very short demo this one, just the 1 track, but you do have the high score mode or the see how long you last before you lose your single life mode in Infinity. Plays really well, really enjoyed it. There might be a slight issue here around camera though, but it's definitely staying on my wish list because I had a blast playing through it and wanting to get more tracks under my belt. So yeah, Dancing Cube, anyone that plays Just Shapes and Beats, you'll love this. The next game on my list is called Concerto on White, and this is distinctly unique, but I'm not sure I like it. It was really difficult for me to kind of get my head around. Now, it's a visual novel experience, like with drama and intrigue and love by the looks of it as well, because there's a bonding character thing going on, so I'm expecting some romance from my anthropomorphic animals. But I was mainly interested in the music side of stuff, and this is all about playing piano alongside other MIDI bands is how I would describe it, because the music feels like MIDI plus rather than like full instrumentation. Now, this is a mouse and keyboard affair. You use the mouse to move up and down the piano scroll, and you'll hit up against different coloured circles or like banners as they come across, and you need to line them up for the keys to work. You press X for a major key, Z for a minor key, and then both together to play a chord. And that's like yellow, green and red on the screen, if that makes sense. But because you're scrolling up and down, it's immediately inverted. So you can kind of press to kind of revert things back again, which is fine. But I just found it really clunky that as soon as it wanted me to have some kind of precision, I was kind of zooming my mouse up and down and it was just overshooting or undershooting. And I just found it a bit clunky and clumsy. This felt like one of those things where it's trying to be touch screeny, but with a mouse and keyboard, and I'm not sure I'm sold on it. The music as well is definitely MIDI plus, it's not full action, but what I do like is that each of the characters has a different instrument that they'll play alongside with you. So you've got someone that does some rock stuff, some people do classical with strings and a violin, there's some of a harpsichord, someone's there with like a double bass I think there was as well. So all kinds of stuff. Looks interesting. It's staying on my wish list for now, but it was one of the least convincing games that I played. The game I struggled with most though is Zombie Groove, and that's the next game on this list. Zombie Groove I tried out in Steam Next Fest earlier this year, didn't get on with it then, didn't get on with it now unfortunately. You're moving through a corridor to music for each track and zombies will come towards you. Each one has hearts and you can kind of zoom in on each one and decide who you want to try and tackle by moving the mouse around. Each zombie has a different amount of hearts on, and the idea is that you turn them from red to blue by pressing a button on the keyboard, any old one except for enter, before, like, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there's like clickers that go in, like little needles. They're reminding me a little bit of vinyl needles going into the centre. So you hit onto the beats there. Each song has a slightly different setup of where those beats hit though, and that's the crux for this game, and I quite like that idea. Once all of the hearts of the zombie turn blue, you then have to hit offbeat, and this was where I was struggling. And it might be a like me brain thing more than the Zombie Groove game thing, but it just doesn't flow for me because quite often it's asking you to hit offbeat or to a melody, and then it's going, in this song the melody offbeat is over here, and you're like, oh, but that's on the kick drum and that's exactly how it was playing last time around. And I get how it's trying to be quite dynamic and make each song unique and different. Something just isn't clicking for me with this game and I'm really struggling with it, so that is not staying on my wish list, and spoilers, it's the only one that's not on my wish list from this video. The next two games are not rhythm action games, but they're platform games that are built entirely around rhythmic rhythm. The first one is Project Timi, Sasha's Curse, and this is a game where everything is built up in blocks, and each enemy and each like puzzle element or anything that you do all moves to the beat of the music. And so if you want to lift something up, it will go boof, 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 and like move up 4 blocks. If an enemy is moving in a certain like loop area, it will move to each new block on the beat. And so what you need to do is drop down traps to stop enemies and then launch the traps on the beat as well. So it's like Crypt of the Necrodancer, but blatantly for children, and I had a blast playing this. It kept showing new ideas throughout its demo. It felt fresh and unique and a good spin on something that I've seen done elsewhere, but this just felt vibrant and energetic, which is quite difficult to just get across on a video with me quickly talking over how things work. Really enjoyed it. Demo's quite substantial, lets you go through a few levels and a boss, and yeah, had great time with it. So Project Timi, hadn't heard of it before this demo, on my wish list. The last game on this list is also a puzzle platformer game that is built around music, and it's called A Last Song. In this game, you play as a robot that is moving from different locations to reactivate a biome of various plants by playing music through different musical instruments to them. Your musical instrument, though, is mapped out on the keyboard through various different notes. So you've got Z, X, C, A, D, Q, W, E. And the idea of this is that each of the plants sing to you, and then you need to sing the call, like the song, back to them. But you've got different levels of difficulty, so it can just tell you the notes and you'll play them back. But once you get used to the plants, they'll then like sing in virtuoso level, and so it will be almost like training your ear to hear the notes and then play stuff back again. It also allows you to choose whether or not you just want the letters on the screen, or whether you want to have it in like an alien symbol language, so it's like you're reading music. And I really love that idea. Now you can change all of these options in the difficulty setting. So if reading music and all that kind of stuff puts you off this stuff, you can default back to the easier way of playing it, which is just having the letters play out in front of you and you do bits by kind of like tiny bits of music at a time. But yeah, this was a really interesting and unique way of trying to integrate music into a puzzle game, and it felt fresh, innovative, interesting, and I was quite intrigued at the fact that you was going to get different instruments that were going to do different things. I think is where this game was going over time. So substantial demo again, good fun. So that's the rhythm and music selection from Steam Next Fest June 2022. Of the 7 games I played, 6 are going on the wish list, 5 are potentially day one purchases for me. This is a great time to be a rhythm action lover. Thank you very much for watching. Any comments or questions, leave them down below and I'll try and answer them for each game as I see them. And if you found it helpful, please do leave a like and subscribe because it super helps me out. Cheers. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.